everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you are excited for another hosiery review. And what am I going to be reviewing today? Well, of course you already know because you've seen the title, but it is going to be some Cecilia De Rafael tights, and it is these ones right here. So these are the Cecilia De Rafael Chacal 50 tights, and these are a little range of coloured tights. Basically, they're very simple. They are a 50 denier, hence why they are Chacal 50, and they come in lots and lots of different lovely shades. So for reference, I have the colour Kaki, and I have them in a size 5, which is an XL. They are retailing on the Tight Spot for £7.95, and they are a little bit of a staple on there, so I think they're going to be around for a while. So if you are interested in them and want to take a look, then you don't have to sort of rush quickly because they're on sale and there's not many sizes left. So £7.95 for some coloured tights sounds good to me. And Cecilia De Rafael, as we all know, is a very nice quality hosiery brand. So let's take a little look at these. First off the bat, I'm going to say, I'm going to be really blunt and say I really don't like the packaging at all. Yeah, it just gives me sort of like late 80s, early 90s kind of vibe. It's not my thing, let's say. Yes, there's a lot of preview space for the colour, so at least you can see the shade that you're actually going to be sort of buying very easily. And then on the back here, we have actually quite a nice simple pack of information here, which I like. I prefer this side much more than the other side. So as you can see, it says that these are the new Chacals. They're a 50 denier. And a bit of sizing information, but not too much more. Matte tights, 50 denier, opaque, sheer to waist microfiber. So nice and simple. As I say, these are a nice simple pair of tights with lovely colour options. Wash 30 degrees, 90% polyamide nylon and 10% elastane, so a good amount of stretch there as well, with a cotton gusset. And the next thing that I think is super important to mention is actually the sizing. So it goes from 1 to 7, which is an extra small, all the way up to a 3XL. So they've got a really, really great size range here. Really, really great, actually. In fact, if we look at its largest ratio, the 3XL, you can be up to 7'6", and you can also be in kilograms 110 kilograms. So in theory there we have a huge range of weight and height ratio, all the way down to 4'9" and 45 kilograms. So a huge size range there, which makes it suitable for absolutely anyone, which we love. So let's go ahead and take a look. Actually, let me just quickly check how many different colours this comes in. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we have 11 colour ranges. We've got green, we've got orange, blues, purples, and obviously white and black and things like that. So really, really great. So let's have a look at them. I'm excited to see how they look. Now, ironically, I'm opening these up and I'm wearing some yellow tights, as you can see, and I actually think these yellow tights are the yellow tights that are available from this range. I'm pretty certain. So let's have a look at these. Wrapped around the cardboard as normal. So these are the khaki colour. Now, my sort of thoughts on khaki are a dark sort of army kind of green generally. And yeah, I would say that's probably correct. I don't know, on camera they may be coming up a little bit more brown perhaps, a little bit more black, but hopefully they're coming up, you know, the khaki kind of dark green. So let's take a look at them. As always, I'll start from the top. We've got actually a really nice flexible waistband. These are really soft, I do have to say. It does say microfiber, which probably is why they feel softer. Waistband looks absolutely fine. I have no issues with that at all. And then yeah, the 50 denier all the way from obviously waist to toe. It doesn't say anything about a reinforced toe, but obviously it said about a gusset. So let's have a look at that. Yeah, there we go. We have quite a reasonable sized gusset there actually. And really nicely sewn. Again, really clean, really tidy. Nothing much going on there. And yeah, a fairly reasonable normal seam as well. So that's great. And let's have a quick little look in the leg. So these are completely matte, as you can tell. There's not really much sort of shine going on, but that's absolutely no problem at all. They can't always be shiny. Oh, and we do have a little bit of reinforcement there as well. We start just around here, you can see it starts, and there's a band here where the texture completely changes and goes more diagonal. If that is at all obvious. It's a very slight change here, and then this part is like a diagonal. So yeah, a little bit of reinforcement there. I don't believe that was actually on the packaging, so nice to know. It's obviously not a great sort of issue if something doesn't, especially at a 50 denier. They're quite thick actually. They hold the colour quite nicely too. And the texture of them when they stretch is quite nice. It's almost a little bit like a woven knit. So these are lovely. I'm almost certain that the tights that I currently have on now are the yellow CDR Chacals, because the waistband looks very similar and the texture is very similar. If you compare the two, they are almost identical. I may be wrong, but I also may be right. Maybe I'll find out. But yeah, let's go ahead, let's pop these on, let's see what we think for the price tag, and yeah, we'll go from there. As you can see, I have the nylons on, and I did a little bit of quick research, and the nylons that I had on at the start of the video are indeed the orange the yellow colour that you can purchase from this range. So these also are the CDR Chacals. Mostaza, I think, is the shade, which has actually worked out in my favour. Trust me, I didn't remember the link between the two. It's just pure coincidence, but it's kind of given me an idea of the consistency in terms of the way things are sized. I know that these would have been purchased in the XL just because I tend to go for that with CDR anyway. And I can definitely say that they look and feel absolutely identical. I think the shade of these are really lovely actually. They're hard to describe other than they are just khaki really. But yeah, they're almost this kind of dark green that goes into almost like a charcoaly kind of colour as well. But they're super lovely. I'll show you the feet so you can just have a quick look. We've got that little tiny bit of reinforcement, which isn't necessarily the most noticeable. It starts just around here, but there is a little bit of reinforcement there, which is nice. Obviously these aren't they're not the lightest denier anyway, they're still a 50, but it's nice just to have that little touch of reinforcement there. But they fit beautifully. In actual fact, there's a reasonable amount of sort of room in these where I can actually sort of pull them up a little bit as well. But yeah, super duper soft. They're super nicely made. I don't have any issue with them. I think they actually pair really nicely with this dress actually. But yeah, if I'm looking at them from this sort of down angle here, they are giving me a slightly more of a sort of a brownier green look, and then I guess that's going to change depending on, you know, where in the light the kind of tights and things are anyway. But yeah, they're super, super lovely actually. I can't sort of understate how soft these actually are, how soft they feel when you wear them, and sort of to touch, they're really lovely. But yeah, they, as I say, there's a bit of give here on the thigh still, so they're a really legitimately sized in terms of them being an XL. I probably definitely could have got a large, but you know, I just like to have things that fit nicely without me having to worry about anything. But you do have a little band here. So you have the main tights, and then you have this sort of band here of reinforcement, and then it sort of goes up into the rest of the tights. So there's no sort of reinforcement at the top because it's waist to toe, but you do sort of have that little reinforcement there, which is generally where you might get any kind of thigh rub. So there's a little bit of extra sort of reinforcement there, which is quite a nice touch as well. If you're not going to have that reinforcement on a larger size. So I think these are lovely. I think the shade range that they offer is great, and I think the size range that they offer is fantastic. They're a really lovely tight, they're really soft, the weave and the knit on these is really clean and nice. There's, in terms of the fact that they're a 50 denier, they're also not solid. There's a little bit of sort of sheerness to them, which I like. They go a little bit sheerer up on the thigh where it's stretched a little bit. But yeah, they fit really, really nicely. And I would say in terms of size point, if you are, I would say probably go with your normal size. However, obviously, as everybody always says, if you're on the cusp, then just size up anyway. It just makes things more comfortable. Waistband feels nice and comfortable as well. Definitely not going to cut in at all. It's there, but it's not super duper tight. So if you like a waistband that's like really tight, this might not be for you because it's quite soft, but it's still really super comfy, and they're not falling down or anything like that. But yeah, so $7.95 for a really beautifully manufactured pair of tights with beautifully soft fabric, and a really reasonable shade range and a really, really good size range. So I think personally I'm going to give these a 10 out of 10, and that is on the basis of the size range. I think they're true to size. The colour is quite unique. You don't often see a lot of this kind of colour green. They have a nice shade range, and the size range is spot on. Quality is lovely. These are the sort of classic trademarks that I actually expect from Cecilia De Rafael. I've been let down in the past by some of their sizing issues and design issues, but these are what I call real top quality CDR nylons. So yeah, a 10 out of 10. Let me know if you're a fan of CDR. I'm sure most of you are, but if you have any of the Chacal tights and what colour you have them in, and yeah, why don't you let me know what your favourite colour of tights are? Not black nude, that's cheating. If you had to pick an actual colour, what would you pick? Let me know in the comments below. But that is going to be it from me. A big recommendation. Don't forget, you can find these tights on thetightspot.com, and you can use my code Langford to give you 10% off. You might as well, because it also includes sale items too. So have fun shopping, and I'll see you soon. Bye.